I forced myself upright, wobbling toward the dusty rotary phone on the cabin counter. The screen nearby blinked to life, weather updates, a cold front pushing deeper over Aspen. Then a notification appeared. Bank alert. Transaction pending. I knew that number. It belonged to the life insurance policy Rowan and Mice had paid into for years. They'd already filed the claim. They weren't even waiting for a body. A dry, bitter laugh escaped me and turned into a painful cough that shook my ribs. My eyes stung, the tears long gone. They think I'm dead, I whispered to the silence, fingers clutching the counter for balance. Let them. I reached for the ranger's coat by the door. The scent of pine and wood smoke clung to it like armor. Clarity swept in, sharper than the cold. I wouldn't return broken and pleading. I'd return prepared. Vera's voice echoed in my mind, call me if the world burns, Selene. My old partner, the one who understood war didn't always leave bruises, it left scars on your soul. I had to find her, someone who'd believe me before Rowan and Mice buried my story for good. By the door, I spotted an old pair of ranger boots, weathered but serviceable. I tightened the makeshift bandages, shoved my feet in, and pulled the coat around me. As I opened the door, the wind slapped me hard. I welcomed it. Let it strip away whatever fear remained. Snow crunched under the boots, the wind scraping past like a challenge. I gripped my branch crutch in one hand, the other clutching my ribcage with every breath that tore through me. But I moved. One shaky step at a time. Stopping was never an option. I could almost hear my mother's voice, you don't get to quit, Selene. I didn't track the time. Hours, maybe. The sky faded from steel gray to bruised violet. Cold settled deep, no longer a stab but a constant ache reminding me I was alive, despite everything. Every slip on the icy trail sent searing jolts through my leg, but I pushed forward, whispering promises of retribution. Eventually, trees gave way to a clearing, and I saw it, a faint neon sign buzzing over a diner at the town's edge. My body begged to collapse, but I crossed the snowy lot and pushed through the door. A bell chimed. Conversations stopped. Heads turned. Silence fell like a sheet of glass. Blood clung to my matted hair, my clothes were torn, my face raw from wind and salt. A teenage waitress approached cautiously, eyes wide. Ma'am, do you need help? I didn't respond. Just stumbled to the corner booth and collapsed into it. The cold vinyl seat felt like stone. My breathing was rough, shallow, uneven. Then I saw it, a payphone near the bathrooms, scratched and dented from decades of desperate fingers. The kind of place where people didn't ask questions. I fished the last coins from the coat pocket and fed them in, my fingers barely steady. I dialed from memory. Rested my forehead on the wall as the ring echoed in my ear. Vera. A pause. A sharp inhale. Selene? My God, they said. I know what they said, I rasped. Listen to me. I need help. Quiet help. I'm coming, she said, calm as ever. For the first time, I breathed without pain. I turned just as the TV flickered to a news segment. The headline hit like a blow, local CEO Selene Thorne missing, presumed dead in helicopter crash. Footage rolled. Rowan stood at a podium. Mice clung to him, her face buried in his shoulder. He wrapped an arm around her, voice cracking with fake emotion. Please respect our privacy, he said. Mice lifted her tear-streaked face for the cameras, mascara running in delicate trails. Behind them, the logo of my company loomed large. My life. My creation. I laughed. Harsh. A man in the next booth glanced, then quickly looked away. I dug my nails into my palm. Let them cry on camera. Let them believe they'd won. The bell over the diner door jingled again. Vera entered, brushing snow off her coat, her eyes sweeping the room until they locked on mine. She crossed quickly and slid into the booth across from me. God, Selene, she reached for me, but I leaned away. I wasn't ready for warmth yet. I need to see the accounts, I said. She nodded. Pulled out her laptop. Tapped into the diner's Wi-Fi and began typing with smooth efficiency. The hum of chatter faded as we focused. They moved the money, she murmured, turning the screen toward me. Transferred using your signature. They left a note, in case of disappearance, funds ensure company continuity. My chest tightened. They didn't just steal my life. They crafted a perfect illusion that I had given it to them. There's more, she added, hesitating. They've planted stories. The media's whispering you were unstable. Paranoid. Saying you believed people were after you. They're building their defense, I said, quietly. Making me the villain in my own vanishing. Vera shut the laptop, her eyes burning with purpose. What do you want to do? I clenched my fists. They think they've buried me. We're going to take it all back. My eyes locked with hers. And if they want a funeral, I'll give them one they'll never forget. Outside the funeral home, I stood still in Vera's borrowed black dress, the wind slicing down my bare arms. My reflection stared back from the darkened glass, barely recognizing the woman staring. You don't get to quit, I whispered to my reflection. The afternoon sun glared off the icy ground. The world felt too clean for the ugliness behind those doors. I stepped inside. The smell of lilies and overused cologne hit me. A hush spread. Conversations dropped. Gasps. Snapping cameras. Eyes widened. Mice froze mid-sob, handkerchief lifted, mouth open. Rowan stood at the podium, mid-sentence. A journalist shouted, "Is that her? Is that Selene Thorne?" I walked forward. The heels Vera lent me clicked against the tile, each step deliberate. I passed a photo board with my face on it. A ribbon across the corner. In loving memory. I met Rowan's stunned stare. Started without me? I asked, my voice cool, cutting through the silence. Rowan recovered quickly, stepping forward, arms extended. Selene, thank God. We thought. I stepped back, letting him grasp at air. Save it. Gasps rippled. Some stood. Others filmed. Mice came next, face trembling, tears running fresh. You said people were watching you, she offered, trying to plant the seeds of madness. You were scared. Her voice was perfect. Her eyes weren't. You can lie to them, I said, gesturing to the flashing lights and microphones, but you can't lie to me anymore. Reporters surged forward. Where have you been? Were you unstable? What happened in the mountains? Security scrambled to contain the frenzy. Rowan reached for me again. Selene, let's get you out of here. You need help. I pulled my arm away. Met his eyes, calm and fierce. The only help I need is for you to get your hands off me. From the corner, I saw Vera, slipping through the crowd. Eyes locked. Ready. We were just getting started. She leaned in, slipping a small flash drive into my palm, her lips barely parting as she murmured, "When you're ready." I closed my fingers around it, the weight anchoring me amid the frenzy. Cameras kept flashing, reporters shouting, but all I could hear was the calm in my own mind. If they wanted a funeral, I'd deliver one they'd never forget. I tucked the drive into my coat and walked away from the funeral home, its weight a quiet reminder in my pocket. Ver's car waited a block down, and I kept my eyes down, dodging reporters and camera flashes. We didn't speak until the car doors shut, muffling the chaos outside. The sun dipped low as we drove, twilight folding in around us, streetlights flickering above. I saw Vera's grip on the steering wheel, white-knuckled, but she didn't prod. "You need to see what's on that," she said, voice even and low, the tone she used when reality turned ugly. At her apartment, we sat near the window where city lights pulsed like a warning. She brought over her laptop, the fan humming quietly as she plugged in the drive. I stared out the window, the cold ghosting through the glass, lights blending into a blur. My hands didn't shake, but inside, I felt like I was about to fall off a cliff. The screen flickered on, revealing folders marked with codes and unfamiliar dates. Vera clicked through them with quiet purpose, bank statements, transfers, files, each document hitting like a hammer. There was my name, my forged signature, greenlighting transfers I'd never approved. Money, stolen and funneled through fake companies. "Selene, look at this," Vera said, her tone tight with rage. She pulled up an email thread, conversations between Ms. and Rowan. "My sister. My husband. Plotting to eliminate me. Not metaphorically, literally. Insurance policies, profit estimates. She's a risk now. We can't let her mess it up." Rowan's words. It felt like falling all over again, only this time there was no wind, just the hollow drop. My breath hitched, my hands trembled, but my face was stone. I read the messages again and again, letting the betrayal scorch itself into my brain. "They planned all of it," I whispered, voice sharp as glass. Vera didn't answer. She just picked up her phone and dialed. "We'll freeze the joint accounts," she said after hanging up. "We'll start proceedings to reclaim your shares before they vanish everything." The next morning, we sat in a tiny downtown law office, stale heat pressing down on us. The lawyer's fingers flew across his keyboard, pulling records, checking numbers, inspecting signatures. His eyes flicked between me and Vera, his jaw tightening. Finally, he stood. Pale. "Selene, I'm sorry. They've already filed claims saying you're mentally unwell. Your assets are frozen. They're going for company control through power of attorney." The air thickened. Mrs. hand on my back, Rowan's cold stare as I plummeted, they all came rushing back. I clenched my fists, nails biting into skin. "They knew I'd survive," I said to no one in particular. "And they're scared." The scenes flashed in my head like a nightmare on repeat, their smiles, their lies, their carefully rehearsed concern. "I need a moment," I muttered, stepping into the hallway and into the restroom. The mirror was cracked, my reflection fractured, like me. I clutched the sink, letting its chill calm me, tears threatening but never falling. I wiped my face, let the anger cut through the fog. "Not this time," I told the broken reflection, the woman they tried to erase. I re-entered the office, met Vera's gaze. "We'll find another path," I told her, voice steady as iron. "They want me broken. That's how they'll lose." As we left, my phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number. "I know what they did. Meet me." The screen glowed in the darkness, my mind narrowing in on it. This could be a trap, or the break I needed. I met Vera's eyes before leaving. Didn't explain, just promised to call if things went bad. The cold bit into me as I walked to the nearby diner, neon sign half-lit, buzzing in the still night. I took a corner booth, back to the wall, eyes sharp. The scent of grease and stale coffee grounded me. I ran my finger around the rim of the chipped cup, slowing my breath. The bell above the door chimed. A man in a weathered green coat stepped in, scanned the room, and headed toward me. He moved with the wariness of someone used to betrayal. As he sat across from me, I noticed his limp, his tired eyes under messy hair. "Aaron," he said, voice quiet, looking around. "I know what Ms. and Rowan did." I didn't flinch. "How?" I asked. He sighed, rubbing his jaw. I worked for Ms. Thought I loved her, stupidly. She used me, then cut me loose. But I kept things. Proof. Stuff that could ruin her. I watched him closely. Why now? I asked. Why me? He looked down, picking at a crack in the table's surface. Because I've seen what she does. And I stayed quiet too long. But when I saw your face on the news, I knew I couldn't anymore. I didn't fully trust him. But I believed him. Or maybe I wanted to. He slid a small key across the table. Storage unit 2 blocks over. It's all in there, fake medical records, forged documents, emails between her and Rowan, laying out how they'd manage you. The word made my stomach turn. I took the key, eyes still on his. Why risk helping me, Aaron? You know what she's capable of. He laughed, but it was hollow. Yeah. I do. But I'm done hiding. I tossed some cash on the table and followed him into the night. Vera waited nearby, engine running, her breath fogging the air as we got in. The ride was silent but full of tension. At the facility, I turned the key in the lock, metal door screeching as it rose. Boxes stacked inside, labels in Mrs. handwriting, mocking, cruel. Files on my mental state. Diagnoses that were fake. Plans to make me seem unstable and steal the payout. Vera flipped through one folder, eyes wide. Selene, this is enough to destroy them. I didn't respond. My phone buzzed, video call. It was her. I answered, holding it away. Melissa's face appeared, calm, polished, repulsive. Well, look at you, she purred. Digging around where you shouldn't. You know where I am? I asked, heart pounding. Of course, she smiled coldly. Think you've won? You've always been so delicate. It's cute that you believe you can fight me. You tried to kill me. Her grin didn't falter. Watch your words. I've got friends. And if you try to go public with any of that, she nodded toward the evidence behind me, I'll make sure everyone sees what you've tried to hide. You think they'll choose you? She ended the call. I stared at the black screen, my reflection faint. Cold seeped in as fear pressed harder. But I breathed through it. Thought through it. Back in the car, I stared into the dark, the truth heavy and cruel. Mrs. voice echoed in my skull, but I wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. The memory hit hard, her hands shoving me, the wind howling past, the icy rush, the sting of betrayal. She still had her grip on everything. She's still pulling the strings, I murmured, my hands trembling as I pressed them over my eyes. Vera reached out, squeezing my hand with strength. She's scared, Selene. That's why she's fighting back like this. She knows you're alive, and that you're coming. I exhaled shakily, wiping away the tears, letting fury burn away the fear. Turning to Vera, I steadied my voice. Then let her be afraid. It's my move now. We headed back to Vera's apartment, the evidence-laden boxes locked away in the trunk. The quiet in the car didn't feel heavy anymore, it buzzed with focus, with shared resolve. As we parked, I looked down at the small key still clutched in my hand. Then I turned to Vera. I have to go back, I told her softly, but without hesitation. There's one file in that storage that could either save me, or wipe out everything I have left. I stepped from the car, clutching the folder tight against my chest, the sharp Denver air slicing across my cheeks, a cold but undeniable reminder that I was still here. Still fighting. The snow crunched beneath my boots as I walked toward the courthouse, each breath blooming white in the early light. This was the moment. No more hiding. No more letting them decide whether I lived or died. Inside, The hallway smelled like old coffee and overused disinfectant. Vera was at my side, her fingers brushing mine briefly before she let go, letting me lead. We passed through security, the guard eyeing me as I placed the folder on the scanner. I held his stare and didn't blink. In a nearby meeting room, they were already waiting. Melis, elegant and composed, sat with her chin high and her smile fake. Rowan, my husband, played the grieving widower so well I almost bought it, except for that flicker of fear when our eyes met. That tiny tremble fed me. Others were there too, a lawyer on Rowan's payroll, a longtime family friend who never liked me, and a woman who couldn't stop looking at her phone, clearly wanting to be anywhere else. I stepped inside and shut the door behind me. The click echoed like a gavel. I didn't sit. I dropped the folder onto the table with a loud slap, every head turning. Rowan stood like he might hug me. "Selene," he began. I raised a hand. "Don't." He froze, glanced at Melis, then sat again. Her skin went pale, but her lips curved into that smug smile. Well, well," she said with sugar-coated venom. "You're alive. We were so worried." I didn't respond. I opened the folder and began to lay out the papers, email printouts, forged medical documents, financial records, insurance claims. Their plan in crisp black and white. "This is what you did," I said calmly, though my pulse roared in my ears. "This is who you are." Melis let out a cold laugh. "This is pathetic. You've always had breakdowns. We tried to help you, Selene. You just wouldn't let us." She looked around for support. "She's unstable. Always has been." She smiled as if it were all unfortunate but true. I locked my eyes on hers, refusing to look away. "You always thought I was an obstacle. You didn't expect me to survive that fall, did you?" My voice was ice. The silence in the room turned dense. Rowan wouldn't look at me, fists clenched on the table. "You don't have real proof," Melis snapped, the cracks in her calm beginning to show. Outside, Vera and Aaron were executing our plan, and I knew it. My phone buzzed in my pocket, message after message arriving. While Melis kept speaking, Vera was uploading clips, tagging local reporters, journalists, forums, anyone who would listen. "Your lies are done," I said softly. Melissa's phone buzzed. Then again. Then again. Her eyes flicked down, her expression shifting from smug to panicked as she read what was spreading online. The room filled with an eerie chorus of notifications. Everyone's phone was going off. I saw the lawyer check his screen, then glance at me, his face shifting into something dangerously close to respect. The family friend squirmed in her seat, unease overtaking her usual judgment. Melissa's hands trembled around her phone as her eyes darted from one face to another. "You think this is over," she hissed, rising so quickly her chair clattered backward. I stepped closer, my voice steady and low. "No. This is just the beginning." She tried to respond, but nothing came. The woman who always had a speech, a scheme, a script, had no words. I slowly gathered the papers back into the folder, letting her watch me do it. I wanted her to see who held control now. I wanted her to understand I was no longer afraid. When I stepped outside, the cold didn't sting. It felt clean. Liberating. Not punishment, freedom. I drew a deep breath, the folder pressed to my chest, letting the crisp air wash over years of silence and being small. My phone buzzed again. I didn't check it right away. For once, I didn't feel the panic. I felt power. Solid ground beneath my boots. Air in my lungs. I knew it wasn't over. But I was ready now. As I pushed through the courthouse doors, the chill morning air hit like truth, undeniable and sharp. A crowd had formed. Reporters. Spectators. People with their phones lifted high, streaming my every step into the world. I held my head up, folder clutched tight, breathing in as their murmurs reached me. Is that her? She's alive. What's going on? My hands trembled for a second. But I steadied them, grounding myself in the purpose. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about every person who had ever been discarded, ignored, gaslit, or buried. Then, like a ripple, buzzes swept the crowd. Heads turned toward their phones. Eyes scanned breaking headlines. Vera was beside me again, scrolling rapidly. Selene, she said carefully. They're countering fast. Melis had already fired her next shot. News alerts flashed claims that I had faked my death, stolen company funds, and forged signatures. Photoshopped documents. Spliced recordings. My name trending again, but with words like fraud, unstable, criminal. For a second, I felt the chill of that familiar fear, of being erased again. I looked down, catching my reflection in a shallow puddle. A reflection of the woman they tried to silence. Destroy. Forget. Are you ready? Vera asked beside me. I looked at her, at the watching crowd, at the blinking cameras. My fingers clenched around my phone so tightly the plastic groaned. Yeah, I said, lifting my chin. I'm ready. We stepped forward. The crowd parted. Vera pulled out our portable projector, connected it to my phone. The image appeared, shaky at first, then clear on the stone wall of the courthouse. Mrs. voice rang out, unmistakable. Laughing, slurring slightly, raising a glass. She's always been in the way, she said. She never saw it coming. All it took was a push. Easiest money we ever made. Their faces clear. Their voices undeniable. The raw truth unveiled for all to see. The crowd gasped. Phones flew up, cameras rolled. Live feeds exploded. Some people shouted. Others cried out in disbelief. And then came the silence, the kind that happens when denial shatters. When truth takes its first breath. I saw the crowd look at their phones, then at me. Then at the video. The recognition hit. On the edge of the chaos, I caught sight of Mrs. Team trying to cut through, shouting for the video to be stopped. Telling people to stop recording. But it was too late. The world had seen them now. And I wasn't going to disappear again. It had already gone viral. Suddenly, Ms. appeared, her face flushed, eyes blazing, as she lunged at me, shouting, "You've ruined everything." Her voice broke, harsh and furious, her carefully polished facade crumbling with every furious step. Security reacted instantly, restraining her as she thrashed and screamed, her words sharp and venomous. "I'll destroy you," she shrieked. "You think this is over?" I didn't flinch. The frenzy around me seemed to fade into a distant hum. I watched her unravel, her grip on control slipping through her fingers. I felt no fear. No sympathy. Only a profound sense of release. Voices began chanting my name. People clapped, some reached out, gently brushing my arm in silent solidarity. My eyes stung with tears, but I held them back. This wasn't the moment for tears, it was the moment for truth. I lifted my chin, letting the crisp Denver air sweep away the years of suffocating silence and pain. As Ms. was dragged away, a reporter stepped through the crowd, her mic trembling slightly. "Selene, now that the truth's out, what's next for you?" she asked. I paused, glancing at the crowd, at the strangers looking back at me with curiosity, disbelief, and something else, hope. A quiet, weary smile curved my lips. "Now?" I said, my voice strong and sure. "Now, I live." For the first time in years, I woke to silence. Soft morning light poured through the window, casting the city skyline in golden hues. Denver shimmered quietly, the world no longer pressing down on me. I sat up slowly, tugging the covers with me, and reached for the mug Vera had left by the bed before leaving for her early meeting. Steam curled into the stillness, warm and comforting. I inhaled deeply, letting it fill the hollow places inside me. The hum of the heater faded into the background as my mind drifted. I remembered the first time mice ever took my hand. We were just kids, trying to survive our parents' split. She clutched a paper crane I had made for her, whispering, "Don't leave me." The memory twisted something deep inside. She had left me, over and over, until the final betrayal nearly killed me. It wasn't just betrayal that hurt. It was what came after, love twisted into a weapon, family turned predator. I set the mug down and picked up my phone. My inbox overflowed. Some messages were cruel, accusing me of lying, saying I deserved it. Others, though, came from strangers, people sharing stories of survival, of clawing their way back from despair. I deleted the hate, blocked the numbers, and set the phone aside. Beside me was the folder Vera had finalized. I opened it and began to sign the pages one by one, reclaiming ownership of my company. Every signature felt like a fresh inhale, air that had been stolen from me, now mine again. Later that morning, Vera returned, her hair tucked into a low bun, tired but glowing. She handed me another coffee, and we sat in her cozy kitchen. Beyond the window, the city moved in soft, everyday rhythms, cars, footsteps, life. "Do you think you'll ever forgive her?" she asked quietly, eyes meeting mine over her mug. My throat tightened. I blinked hard, pushing back the tears. "I don't know," I said honestly. "Maybe forgiveness isn't about her at all. Maybe it's just about moving forward." Vera nodded and gave my hand a gentle squeeze. The silence that followed was comforting, proof that I wasn't alone anymore. That afternoon, I visited the community center I had once helped fund. It had been meant for women starting over, finding strength again after everything fell apart. I slipped through the space quietly, watching others reclaim their power, one laugh, one job offer, one smile at a time. Children played in the corners, their bright colors like tiny flags of resilience. A little girl, maybe 6, tugged at my coat. She had curly hair, wide brown eyes, and in her hand, a small paper crane. Its folds were clumsy, but its meaning was clear. "For hope," she whispered, placing it in my palm before darting back to her mother. I closed my eyes, fingers curling around the delicate paper, remembering the day I'd told mice the same word, hope. It didn't form a perfect circle, but it was enough. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, I walked back through the city, each step a silent vow to myself. Maybe I'd never trust completely again. Maybe the wounds would take years to fully heal. But I was alive. I was free. I was no longer afraid of being erased. I stopped near a quiet park, pulling out my phone. Turning the camera toward my face, I stared at the woman staring back. Older. Stronger. Still bearing the weight of what had been done to her, but finally, shining. "Have you ever survived something like this?" I asked, my voice soft but sure. "Tell me your story." I meant it. I'd read every single one. I stopped the recording, slipped the phone into my coat pocket, and turned toward the glow of the streetlights. The air was cold, but not harsh. It was honest. I let it fill my lungs as I walked forward, one step at a time, lighter than I had ever felt. And for the first time, I didn't need their forgiveness or approval to feel real. I was enough. Just as I was.